Okay. This week, I am a little more on the ball. I actually hit record. Woohoo! Welcome to the evolution of you. Whether you're watching live or listening to the recording, and I am actually going to be putting this out as a podcast finally. Hi, I'm Shannon Kerr, and I am an EFT practitioner as well as a numerologist. And something that I talk a lot about is being aware of cycles. And so I wanted to go a little deeper on that today because everything in our world, everything in our planet, in nature, the universe, it all flows in cycles. And yet we have this bizarre expectation for ourselves that we should be like the same all the time with the same energy and the same capabilities and the same focus, all of it, all the time. And living in a cyclical manner helps to relieve some of that pressure, because I have finally reached the point of understanding that living all the same energy all the time is just impossible, and it's unfair for myself. Even within one day, my energy has a massive ebb and flow and give and take. And I'm not going to have the same focus and interest in the morning, for example, as I would in the evening. There's going to be that up and down sensation. And so allowing this understanding of the different cycles for our energy helps to give you that space and a new empathy for how you flow within your day, within your week, within the month, within a year, even. I mean, if you consider how nature goes, Eleanor and I were out at the river this morning, and she's just magical when she's out in the woods, because she notices all the little sprouts and the baby pine cones, and the little ferns are starting to uncurl, all of these signs of spring. And it would be unreasonable for us to expect nature to hold that energy all year round. And nature itself goes through a period of dormancy in winter, and then spring is that new growth and the seeds being planted and the babies being born, and then summer is that period of celebration and growth, and then fall comes in with kind of the harvesting and things beginning to die off and stockpile things for that upcoming winter. So nature knows how to do this. And when we allow our own bodies and minds to follow that same give and take and flow, it creates so much more space, and not with the intention always of let's do this so that we can be more productive, because we are more than just machines that need to be producing all the time, but to allow a deeper enjoyment of each experience, rather than like just suffering through the winter, let's say, in order to get to summer, but acknowledging the benefits and blessings within each season. So I wanted to talk about a few different cycles that we go through. Let's start with daytime. That in itself. I have learned to adjust things for myself instead of expecting all the same energy all the time. Morning, noon, and night, your body and your brain go through so many different um, energy experiences, and your brain really has only enough space for a limited number of decisions in a day. So this is something that I have learned, and I forget sometimes, admittedly, but the more that you simplify routines and also build in routines of like, oh yeah, it's this time of day, this is when I do this, it helps to reduce the number of decisions that you have to make. Instead of thinking every day, when am I going to eat? When am I going to exercise? When am I going to journal? When am I going to hang out with my kid? Having an understanding of like, this activity feels good in this part of the day because this is what my energy is craving. I understand for myself that working out is something that I prefer to do in the morning. And it goes with that morning energy of like new ideas being downloaded and everything. So I tend to do that. There are people who enjoy working out in the evenings. I'm not one of them. I love to use afternoons for creative writing and emails and kind of taking all those thoughts that I've downloaded in my active time in the morning and putting it out to my people. And then evenings are when I check back in with myself. I review how the day went or the week and plan ahead for the next day. So I'm not going to try and do a massive creative writing in the evening because, again, my energy is low. So that's the day. Within a week, we also go through these cycles, and understanding numerology has helped me understand how to flow my activities within my week. We have what's called the universal energy that is calculated really simply by taking the day, the month, and the year, those numbers, and adding them up. So, for example, today is April 12th. So that's a 1 and a 2. You add that to the 4 of April, and then you add that to the year, which is 2022. So each of those digits added up comes to 13. And then you add up those two digits again until you end up with 4. So today is a universal energy 4. And as we get connected with the different energies of the day, a 4 to me feels like a day to bring some structure in and to be productive and do things that help me feel really grounded and secure. And if I'm in the low energy of the day, I'm going to be feeling kind of shaky and maybe discouraged and just avoiding things because I don't feel solid. So each day has this different energy, and it flows with the energy of divine timing. So universal energy 1 is the new idea coming in. And as it, as you bring it in for yourself, we move into the energy of 2, which is kind of bouncing the idea off of one other person or one small community. And then universal energy 3 brings in that desire to amplify and spread that idea out. There's a lot of abundance that comes in with the 3. Then there's 4, which I already talked about, bringing that stability. So thinking about as you're working through divine timing, like, okay, I've amplified it. Now, how can I feel secure in this idea? 5 comes in with a desire for freedom and creativity. And yeah, 5 just feels like it wants to explore and learn as well. And then 6 is kind of like a regrouping to me. So you've played with this idea, you've built it up, and now bringing it back to yourself and noticing, how can I feel peaceful with this idea? Where do I want to go from here? And that brings you to 7, which is kind of like, are you going to go for it with this idea that you've been creating? Or do we need to take a step back? And then we move into 8. And 8 is momentum, and it's not a driving force, but it is just that preparation for, again, are we going to move forward with it, or are we going to take a pause? And finally, 9 is that completion. So the 9 will be that question of, is this an idea that you are going to keep? Is this something that feels good for you? Or has it kind of run its course? And that is the divine timing through the universal energy. So as you start to feel the energy, it will help to, I don't like to say schedule, but plan your day and notice when you're feeling out of alignment, along with what you're really desiring to bring into the world. So, as I said, today is a universal 4 because of the way we tallied up the numbers. And that's something that you can do easily on your own. And just learn to start checking in, like, okay, this is a 4, tomorrow's going to be a 5. Where do I want to experience that exploration? Where do I want to feel more centered? And I will be sharing more about this. And this is something that I add in with my journaling as well. Each morning I check in to see, okay, this is what the universe is putting out there. How do I feel? And what can I do to kind of adjust myself accordingly? Part of me feels like I'm saying too many things with this, but I will continue. So along with the weekly energy of that universal numerology, there is also that planetary influence. And your birth date will determine where your planetary influence is. So I personally was born on a Wednesday. And so that is when my week truly feels like it's beginning. And we flow from Mercury through to Neptune. So today is my Neptune day, which tends to be a little dreamy. And Mercury on Wednesdays is all about planning and setting goals, setting intentions. So I will come back and share more about the planetary influences on another day, because that feels like a bigger topic. But again, just noticing that it is impossible to expect your body and your brain to do each day the same. And if you fall into that habit, there will be that resistance of like, oh, this is the same thing I did yesterday. Bringing in some creativity and changing things up a bit will help to create this pattern of setting an intention, working through it with a system of checking in with yourself, and then coming to the end of the cycle and seeing whether it worked for you, instead of just continually doing the same thing day after day and expecting things to change. somewhere that's the definition of insanity, right? If we keep doing things the same without any accountability for ourselves, how are we expecting things to get different? So, yes, monthly cycles as well. As a female body, here I am, 47, and I'm finally starting to understand that I cannot run the same energy all through the month. So tracking my cycle, as well as having that awareness of new moon energy and full moon energy, has helped me in such a heartfelt way to feel connected with my body and make sure that I am planning rest when I need rest, rather than holding resentment for myself when my cycle begins and forcing myself through situations. I have learned to say no. I have learned to block out my calendar more effectively so that, yes, I know my body's going to be tired at this time of the month. And so I build in that rest. And new moon versus full moon, again, this is that time to notice. We had the new moon right at the beginning of April, and it was that time of like, okay, here we are. What do I want to grow this year? What do I want to plant? And then as the full moon comes up, a few weeks later, we have the full moon this Saturday. How are things going? That's kind of how I feel the full moon is. It's like, okay, how are things going really for you? And are you still happy with the intentions you set? Are you still on track with what you wanted to do? And what is getting in the way? What needs to be let off your schedule? What needs to be cleared from your self-talk? And how can you help yourself? Because again, no one is coming in here to do it for you. This is a responsibility. If you want things to change for yourself, it has to come from you. So I hope this has been helpful. I feel like I wandered off track a little bit with the universal energies, but I'm going to keep coming back with more of this information, and especially to dive deeper into the planetary influences. But the main takeaway that I want you to finish with this is to understand that you are not expected to run full tilt all the time. Practicing an awareness and forgiveness for your energy ebbs and flows will actually help to increase your enjoyment, your energy, and your productivity. So I really highly recommend having some sort of intention setting and check-in practice, whether that's a weekly thing, Monday morning, setting aside some time to kind of, this is what I want to do this week, and then checking in on the Sunday evening, or monthly, using the moon or using the first of the month, however feels good for you, to have this cycle. And the best thing that I love about this is that it allows you to build in some celebration time for your wins, to notice the progress. Because again, we get in this habit of just doing the things over and over without actually noticing, like, hey, this, and this happened, or I have actually made success here. Even like I journaled in my journal 5 times this week. Like, check this out. Any little win that you can start to notice when a habit becomes solidified and helpful for you will also help that habit to maintain its usefulness. Because if we're just doing the thing in order to do the thing, it's not serving its purpose. If I'm just journaling every day just to make sure that I can check that off my little checklist, that's not serving its purpose. But if I notice, like, hey, I journaled every day, I set aside that time to check in with my needs and desires and giving myself space to express my emotions, that's me taking care of myself. And that acknowledgement is going to provide some positive energy for you so that it continues to make that habit something that you want to continue with. And it will be doing what you wanted it to do. So if you want to learn more about your numerology, I do offer free discovery calls. And if you're listening to the podcast, you can reach out to me. I am going to attempt to put it in the show notes. So wish me luck on that. And in those free discovery calls, you'll learn about your ruling number as well as your current planetary season so that you get an idea of, where your energy is at for the current time. So if you want to try that out, let me know. And yes, thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you soon.